more you listen, the more you know. This is Good Politics with Dr. Wilson and Adam Whiteman.
The other thing to say is the diplomat angle. I want to hit this. There's an interesting thing happening here with Trump and foreign policy. He's got these diplomats, and I understand this very well because at this university we have a very strong international comparative program. We have a fantastic model UN, and we're they're really great at frankly orienting people to the world. And the interesting thing about Trump is he's kind of this like hotel manager, business person type. And when he does foreign policy, sometimes he sort of does it as a hotel manager. You know, he doesn't really do it. Yeah, I'll give you a couple of examples. You know, he came in and said that I would argue this. Some of Trump's best successes have been with money, the economy, the trade agreements, how he's handling China. Some of his worst failures have been in foreign policy. Well, what do I mean by this? Well, he said he was going to be able to solve North Korea problem. Well, that didn't happen. You know, he said that he did maximum pressure with Iran and put sanctions on it. And he said he'd get a better deal. That didn't happen. That's only escalated the conflict. You know, he's made some mistakes in Syria. You know, so his foreign policy chops are sometimes, I don't know, let's just say a little problematic. And so there is this rift that occurs among these diplomats and these career people who kind of know a lot of stuff about other peoples and other countries. And here's what he wants to do. And to hear that, let's play clip number 22.
So I guess my question is, this is a week when we're talking, or I'm going to be talking a lot about the stooges that Trump has put in place. What about the UN? What about the diplomatic corps? Is that hollowed out? How deep is the deep state? I keep asking.
Well, I can say that one of the things that happened after Trump was elected, and it was shocking to many people, but you can imagine the people on my team who helped negotiate the Paris Agreement or the Iran nuclear deal. It was an incredibly dispiriting event for some of them, and yet they all resolved to stay, basically, to serve our country, the career Foreign Service officers,
right,
the career civil service servants. But they found themselves so marginalized, held in such contempt at the highest level, and the key is that expertise is not valued.
What does she mean by that? Expertise is not valued. What is your...
Well, what she means is that this guy, I have a colleague, and I'm not going to name the colleague, but the person made a wonderful quote. It said that he or she said, you know, he does foreign policy like a hotel builder. And,
in reference to Trump.
Yeah,
Trump
yeah,
does
yeah.
foreign policy.
Yeah, and this is not an insult. It's actually talking about, look, here's what we're talking about, all right? Let's do it this way, Adam. Let's say you're an entrepreneur. Let's say you're a business person. Let's say, more than that, you're a hotel mogul, you know, a large entity capitalism. We used to have this thing called robber barons. They were large entity capitalism, and you thought you were good at orchestrating large entities in capitalism to make trades, to make deals and everything, get people together. You're kind of a J.P. Morgan person. Now, you have this idea. Now, the problem is, in business, they value CEO kind of mentality, risk-taking. In business, what happens if you take a risk? They pat you on the back. What happens if you take a risk and fail? They still pat you on the back. Good try. Good try. Mm-hmm. Risk is supposed to be taken.
You're not risk averse.
Right. So in capitalism, the behavior favors, hey, I think I've got an idea. I'm going to try this. But that is not what foreign policy is based on. I mean, it's the exact opposite. You don't want to roll the dice. You know, it's all careful kind of planning. And so the argument is that let's do it this way. I'm going to trying to be friendly here. He's too industrious in foreign policy. He kind of thinks he knows what he's doing, and he's ignoring his diplomats. Why am I bringing this up? I thought we were talking about impeachment. Well, I'm bringing it up because all the people who are going to testify against him are from the diplomatic corps. There's a lot of them. A lot of the diplomats, they don't like him. All right, that's why I'm bringing up. And so this deals with how to deal with Ukraine and what the Ukraine policy should be. What should foreign policy be to Ukraine? Should you withhold? Should you slow walk aid? Should you double check the aid? What is the appropriate policy? Which side should we be on? Should we be for Zelensky? Should we be against him? We're supposed to be for the West, and we're supposed to be pressurizing Russia. He doesn't really seem to see it that way. I think he sees it like, you know,
like a zero-sum game.
Well, I think he sees it like a businessman. Where's the oil field and so forth? You notice in well.
So in short, Trump might be his past actions look like he's favoring more of a bottom line instead of the relations with whatever diplomats. He's
Yeah, I
dealing
mean,
with.
right. I mean, I think he sees the board differently, and the diplomats don't like that. To see that, let's play clip number 23.
And elections have consequences, and foreign policy is going to change from the Obama administration to the Trump administration. And what you're seeing now, I believe, is a group of mostly career bureaucrats who are saying, you know what, I don't like President Trump's politics, so I'm going to participate in this witch hunt that they're undertaking on the Hill. Elections do have consequences, and they should, and your foreign policy is going to change. Obama did it in one way, we're doing it a different way, and there's no problem with that.
That was kind of a stern stance, but he did touch on, just because you don't like Trump's politics, you're going to chime in, and it's just building this, this impeachment inquiry just because somebody doesn't like his politics. Was that his point?
Yeah, I mean, I think his point is fundamentally this: the diplomats work for the president. All right, and so if the president wants to do foreign policy in a way that he does it, just do it his way, then that's actually the way things are supposed to work. I mean, the president has a lot of power in the foreign policy domain, unlike the domestic policy domain where we have checks and balances. In the foreign policy domain, the American system really does not have a whole load of checks and balances there. It's not a plural executive. It's a corporate in structure. It kind of has almost a CEO kind of thing going on. They call it unitary executive with regard to the world. You know, he's commander in chief. Actually, maybe I've said too strong there. I mean, Congress does have very significant foreign policy power too, but it's clear that the president's de facto power in foreign policy is more concentrated than it is in domestic sphere. That part is clear. I'm trying to make a more reasonable statement there.
Yeah.
Your only source for truly balanced politics. Broadcast from Wright State University, this is Good Politics with Dr. Sean Wilson and Adam Whiteman.